All right, good evening, everyone. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Welcome to a very special Thursday evening edition of the Introduction to Texit Coin call. It's, of course, special because today is Christmas. And I don't know how it works for you, but in your house, we have like a strict no talking about business policy during, you know, holidays, especially Christmas. But I was able to negotiate successfully today, and only every other conversation had to be about something other than business. So it's been a good day for me. I'm wearing a Christmas gift. I got a what is it? Aston Martin Team F1 shirt, which I've decided to wear. Normally, I'm not a big shirt logo guy. In fact, I usually don't even wear TEXITcoin shirts around town. But it was a Christmas gift. I wore my socks earlier today, and I've got my special shirt on tonight. So thanks for taking the time to jump on this call. We're not going to be together here tonight very long. But maybe you're with your family and you've talked about TextCoin with them, and this is an opportunity for them to gather around the computer screen or the iPad or your phone and meet Bobby Gray, the founder and fearless leader of TexitCoin, the guy that's created this thing that's created so much excitement and fuss and opportunity and hope. And if you've decided to share our talk tonight with family and friends, then thank you very much. To all the new people joining, welcome. Um, we've got um, we've got a little bit of a different conversation to have today, and we're going what I call back to the basics. We're going back to the basics because we can't really depend on the price of Texit Coin or the month over month 40% growth of our community to convince others to join us. That works great when the price of Texit Coin is growing or when our community is getting bigger and bigger and we've got more cash for marketing and promotion and liquidity and all those exciting things. But we get lazy. We end up finding ourselves becoming dependent on the simplicity of that conversation. We go, look, that's how we're doing. And we all expect it to continue heading in that direction, which of course, is all but impossible. Some weeks I like it that the numbers are down because it looks more believable. Hold on, am I recording right now? Oh man, I'm not recording.
Recording in progress.
Bobby Gray here for our Thursday night Christmas call. Thanks so much for joining. Sorry, I forgot to hit record. But what we were talking about a moment ago is going back to the basics. If you remember in the beginning, we had nothing. We had my background and an idea. And that idea was that we could create a Bitcoin time machine. We could go back to when Bitcoin was all about the mission of alternative digital peer-to-peer currency. And we like that concept. We like that story because I believe, and it took me a long time to get here, that crypto is actually the world's most honest currency. There's a lot to digest there and take apart. We'll do that in just the next few moments. But if you remember back in the beginning, let's go back to early 2024. We had nothing. We had an idea. We had a twinkle in my eye about being able to do something really incredible. We didn't have any technology. We had no market. We weren't on exchanges. We had no history. We had no liquidity. We had no proof. We had no mind. We started with these little Bitmain L3s that were screaming and burning in my garage in McKinney, Texas, and that was it. And with almost nothing to show for the work, I was able to invite and convince my friends, my family to come on this journey with me. And the journey was important because crypto gives us something really great to look forward to. You think back about all the guys that got in on Bitcoin early, the crypto kids that got rich, the Lambos and the supercars and the yachts and the vacation homes and all that stuff, because they got in on a technology before the rest of the world understood it. And so, we like that idea. We certainly want that to happen for ourselves. We look at all the other cryptocurrencies that have come over the years since Bitcoin came out. We got Doge, we got Litecoin, we've got Monero, Ethereum, and Binance Coin, and hundreds of other coins. There's so many coins out there. There's a guy that's driving a Lamborghini today on a coin that you never even heard about. That's how many of them there are. And so, when we started this thing, we were able to connect with people and invite them to join us based on our mission. And the mission, of course, from the early days was all about honest money. And that's still the exact same very mission today. We just lost sight of not necessarily the mission or the work, but we lost sight of what was required of us to get people to join us for that journey. We started pointing to the charts, we started pointing to the data, we started pointing to the proof, and that was certainly easy. I did the same thing myself. But what we're looking at today is a second chance at Bitcoin success. And I've invited all those friends that I've made over the years in precious metals communities to join me for this journey, because I think that I can do it. I think that I have a real shot here at changing the world. And it took me the better part of a dozen years to understand what I was missing with the crypto conversation. Remember, my background in history is all about alternative and complementary currency. In 2008, I started the American Open Currency Standard. This is incidentally the same year that Satoshi Nakamoto, probably not their real name, started Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was a digital currency. I was looking at the same problem with money and banking, and I started a physical currency made out of gold and silver and copper to address the same problem that Satoshi was working on. 2008, Bobby Gray went physical, Satoshi went digital. And of course, I did okay, but Satoshi created a multi-trillion dollar coin that spawned into a multi-trillion dollar industry. Well, in 2012, I discovered Bitcoin kind of for the first time. And I discovered it because I made a commemorative coin that's got a B in the middle of it. And it's kind of copper gold colored. And that coin, I think today has become probably the most famous coin in the world. It's become the representation of all things Bitcoin, all things cryptocurrency. It's, the de facto face, the thing that people picture in their mind when they think about crypto and digital currency. I created that coin back in 2012 when Bitcoin was $5 a coin. And many people out there have that, well, I could have gotten in on Bitcoin when it was $1 or $10 or $1,000. And so I missed it just about as big and as bad as anyone else did. But I created that coin in 2012, which was the same year that I testified in US Congress about parallel currencies, the roadmap to monetary freedom. And that was back when we had US Congressman Ron Paul as the chairman of the Domestic Monetary Policy Subcommittee. And he invited me to speak about my experience in the realm of alternative currency. And I consider myself to be kind of a leading expert these days, not because I know everything there is about economic theory or, the history of money, but because I was the guy that was actually able to get small communities to use an alternative currencies, many different kinds all over the country, as a way of complementing what they were already doing with the U.S. dollar. And so other people talk about it. I'm the guy that knows how to do it, and it's no secret. And it's kind of phase two for us in this Texit Coin journey. But still, I found out about Bitcoin in 2012, and I didn't get into it. I didn't like it. I didn't understand it. I didn't trust it. And I'm one of those guys that if you can't hold it, you don't own it. Physical. And I went and I made my own currency out of gold and silver and copper, something that had worked as money for thousands of years. And so that to me was good alternative currency. That was real money. And so all this intangible digital stuff didn't make any sense to me. And, like many other people, I didn't trust it at all. So it took me the better part of 12 years to figure out what I was missing. In 2017, I took my world famous Bitcoin coin, I dusted it off, and I laser etched a QR code onto the back of that coin. And I did that because when I finally started to begin to take off this horse and buggy blinders about cryptocurrency, the whole world's talking about crypto in 2017. And I said, there's something here. I really need to understand why people are so excited about crypto. And I start to peel back the layers and I realized that crypto's kind of cool. It's an exciting technology. And when you think about what good money is and the properties of good money, crypto's pretty close at hitting them. I'm thinking it's good at two out of three of these things. For me, anything that's good money is a good medium of exchange, a good unit of account, and a good store of value. Gold and silver have served those purposes for thousands of years. And so I'm looking now at crypto. I'm extremely curious about this thing because when you think about crypto as a medium of exchange, it's flawless. You can take any amount of Bitcoin or Texit coin or Litecoin, and you can send it from here to the other side of the world. You can do that almost instantaneously. You can do it almost for free. You don't have to go through a bank or a UPS or FedEx to do that. It's unstoppable money. It's a perfect medium of exchange. And so crypto is kind of flawless. If I wanted to send a gold coin to the other side of the world, man, it'd be really tough. I couldn't even send it to some places. When I think about crypto as a unit of account, it's almost a perfect unit of account. I come from this world of coin manufacturing where if I wanted to take 1,000 ounce silver bar and turn it into 1,000 coins, 1,001 ounce silver coins, it's a lot of work. I take this big bar of silver, I melt it down to casting grain, and I cast it to a long bar, and I roll it out to a thin strip, and I punch my blanks out of that thin strip, and I got to polish those and anneal them and rim them. And then finally, I'm ready to strike them with a design. There's a lot of work. It's a day's work to take that big bar of silver and turn it into 1,001 ounce rounds. I did that for years. But if I wanted to take a Bitcoin and shatter it into 1,000 tiny little pieces, I could do it almost instantaneously. I could do it almost for free. And I could do it almost, I could do it without any chance whatsoever of being able to counterfeit it. Think about it. If I put a gold coin down on the table in front of you, could you look at that gold coin and definitively tell me with 100% certainty that it wasn't fake? There's a lot of fake coins floating around the market these days. But if I tried to send you a fake Texit coin, it would never reach your wallet. It's impossible to counterfeit. And so when I think about cryptocurrency as a unit of account, it's almost flawless. But the thing that's kind of really was the sticking point for me, the thing that kept me on the sidelines for all these years, is the question about number three, whether or not cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, is a good store of value. And that's the thing that I wrestled with for a very long time that kept me out of the game. But in 2017, when I started to learn about crypto, I figured that a lot of people were curious about it. And the biggest thing that they were struggling back in the day was hackers, forgotten passwords, wallets crashing, computers crashing. And all of a sudden now, people's crypto was going, kind of bye bye. Here, can you grab my wallet there? And so when I took my world famous coin design, I started laser etching that QR code on the back of it. I turned that coin into a easy to use cold storage wallet. And this was a way that somebody could take a digital asset and they could store it on a physical coin in the palm of their hand. And I thought of this as a bridge between these two worlds. Guys want to really be able to hold their digital assets, lock them up in the safe, and that, world of digital zeros and ones out there that's so exciting, that's got this tremendous upside if you can figure it out and if you can not get hacked and disappear those coins along the way. So I created this thing called a cold storage coin in 2017. It was my way of getting involved in the cryptocurrency industry. My little contribution was to take my famous Bitcoin design and turn it into a functional, usable cryptocurrency wallet. And I started there and I started researching more and I tried to understand it for years. And it took me until the end of 2023, early 2024 to really understand what I was missing. And what I was missing is that little last part of it as to whether or not crypto is a good store of value. And for me, when I always thought over the years about store of value, I thought about intrinsic value. I thought about physical value. I thought about the ability to hold value over thousands of years. That old saying about an ounce of gold. An ounce of gold back in ancient Rome bought you a toga, a belt, and a nice pair of sandals. And so now here we are 2,000 plus years later, and that same ounce of gold buys you a very nice suit, buys you a belt, and it buys you a pair of shoes, maybe even more. And so when I thought about that last property of good money, that store of value, I was always thinking long term. I was always thinking about value over time. And what I missed out on is that store of value doesn't mean intrinsically valuable. Store of value means that you can use it to get something valuable later. Now, whether that later is in 5 minutes or 5,000 years, we don't know. Gold and silver are excellent stores of value. But unfortunately, in 2025, in today's high tech digital world, those things aren't really usable as money. Think about it. You can't put an ounce of gold into the gas tank of your car. You can't take your silver coins down to the grocery store and shop for food. If you wanted to do that, you'd have to go to the coin shop or a pawn shop first and turn them into money. You'd have to sell them for money so that you could use the money to buy a tank of gas or food at the grocery store. And so while gold and silver are a great store of value and they hold their value incredibly well, especially over very long periods of time, in the high-tech digital world we live in today, they're not actually money. And it took me a really long time to wrestle with that idea. And it doesn't mean that gold and silver aren't valuable. They're doing extraordinarily well today in the marketplace, probably because the dollar is on its way down. It's a conversation for another day. But I'm not asking my gold and silver friends to abandon gold and silver and go run into crypto. I'm asking them to begin to consider the possibility that crypto might also be valuable. Why? Well, not just because Bitcoin started at, a thousandth of a penny and is all the way up to, 80, 90, $100,000 today, but because today in 2025, you can now take your Bitcoin and you can go shopping at more than 54 million businesses around the world, and you can use it to get something valuable today. You see that ounce of gold or that ounce of silver? It's not valuable. It's something that stores your value, but you can't eat the ounce of gold. You can't put the silver in the gas tank. You got to go and monetize them first. And then all of a sudden, as I'm riding my gold and silver horse and buggy, continuing to try to resist the possibility that crypto is actually good money. It's a great medium of exchange. It's a great unit of account, but that last one, that store of value, couldn't get past it. And while I'm riding my horse and buggy with the blinders on, gold and silver physical, I completely missed that Bitcoin freight train flying by me. Because today you can spend Bitcoin now at more than 54 million businesses all over the world. And that is mind blowing. What? How is that even possible? Today, from lots of different providers, you can get yourself a Bitcoin backed Visa, MasterCard debit card linked to a Coinbase account or a Gemini account or a UZX account. And you can spend your crypto today for that tank of gas or the groceries at the store. And that is when it finally hit me that crypto might just be the best money that planet Earth has ever seen. Now, look, I get it. If you're not a crypto person, it's going to take you a little while to digest that. It's a big pill to swallow. I understand for sure. It took me the better part of a dozen years to wrap my mind around all that I was missing. So I don't expect anybody to believe me and agree with that on a 15, 20-minute phone call on Christmas Day. But I want you to begin to consider the possibility that crypto might just be the world's most honest money. And as an advocate and champion of honest money, that to me is incredibly appealing, incredibly exciting, because I've been working a long time on honest money, resisting crypto. So finally, I decide, okay, I'll get in. Let's jump in. What about Bitcoin? Shall I get involved in Bitcoin, the OG? Bitcoin's the big one. They lead the way. They're almost 50% of the market share, plus or minus. But Bitcoin's slow and it's kind of expensive. When I started learning about Bitcoin in 2017, transaction fees were like $50, $60, $70. If you wanted to buy a $5 cup of coffee, it was going to cost you like 80 bucks to pay for that cup of coffee. It's slow, it's expensive. Well, what about the others? You got Litecoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, all these other alternatives out there. Well, I start researching it and trying to figure out which ring to throw my hat into. And I come to discover that almost all cryptos today are controlled by China. And I don't have any problems with China. I lived in Asia for 7 years, 4 years in Singapore, in Thailand, and 3 years in Singapore. I love my time in Asia. It's a beautiful place. But I believe today that digital currency is good. And I believe that cryptocurrency is going to be the future of money, whether we like it or not. And I'm okay with those things today. In fact, I really like the transparency and the honesty that we get out of cryptocurrency. I just don't like the idea of a foreign nation being in control of my crypto. whether your proof of work or your proof of stake, do some research on it, and you'll conclude the things that I resisted for a long time. And that's when it hit me. We don't need these other coins. We have everything that we need right here in Texas to build our own crypto time machine, to take everything that we know and love about cryptocurrency and proof of work, decentralized peer-to-peer money. We've got energy, we've got land, we've got spirit here, entrepreneurial, business development spirit. But the biggest thing we have going for us here in Texas is that I truly believe that the spirit of Americanism is alive and well here, deep in the heart of Texas. And so I took my years of experience as an alternative currency champion. I got off that gold and silver horse and buggy finally. I sold my coin manufacturing facilities and I took all of my resources and I started Texit Coin. And guess what? It worked. We're now 91 weeks into this thing, less than 2 years. We have one of the largest raises ever in the history of cryptocurrency. We've amassed a community of more than 56,000 miners that are cheering for our success, working towards it day in, day out, inviting their friends and family to conversations like this. We've got 30% of the mining power purchased towards our goal of 100 million mega hash. And man, what a journey it has been over the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. But it's still very, very early for us. And we'd love for you to join us. We're on a mission. The mission is honest money. We believe that cryptocurrency is the best money that Earth has ever seen. And we're way further ahead than we were back when this was just a twinkle in my eye. Um, from here, there are a couple different ways that you can join us. You can join us as somebody that picks up a handful of Texit coin on the open market. People always ask me, how do I get rich with crypto? It's really easy. Find a crypto project that's new. It's still inexpensive. The whole world hasn't heard about it yet. People say, well, why isn't Texit Coin on Coinbase? Coinbase is the easy place to go to get crypto. Yeah, but if we were already on Coinbase, then everybody in the world would have already heard about us. Maybe we were already expensive. Maybe we'd already have our pop. It's still very early for us. And so I'd like you to pick up a handful of Texit coin. Think about it. If you had picked up $10 worth of Bitcoin back when it was $2 a coin, you'd be incredibly happy with that risk that you took today. You can pick up $1 worth, you can pick up $100 worth. There's no minimum amount. So if you like what we're talking about and you want to help contribute to our success, you can pick up a handful of Texit coin and join us for the journey. If you'd like to go to the next level, we'd love to have you join us and help us grow the mine. Now, what we're doing is we're kind of crowdsourcing what we expect to be the largest privately owned mine in the world right here in Texas. It's a lot of work and it's going to take time and a lot of energy for us to accomplish this goal. We're off to a great start, but we still need more people to join us and pick up seats on the rocket ship. It's $995 to join. It's a one-time fee. You don't have to share our story with anybody if you don't want to. But if you'd like to take a little bit of a leap of faith and join us and become a Texit coin miner and come have some fun with us, make some new friends, and maybe even earn some commission along the way, we'd love to have you join us as a Texit coin miner. Keep in mind, it's not guaranteed, save for these three things. If you decide to put your money down on the table and join us as a miner, I commit to you that I will take the money and I will use it to build our mine. I will use it to promote our coin, and I will use it to pay affiliate commissions to the people that are helping us grow and succeed and reach our goals. We've got a pretty killer referral program. In fact, if you'd like to help us grow and get towards the goals that we've set for ourselves, that's the right way to do it. We're not going to get too deep into that stuff tonight because it's Christmas. But I want to let you guys know once again that we're going back to the basics. It was really easy for us to grow by just pointing to our numbers. Well, our numbers are down a little bit today, and we're not ashamed of that. Bitcoin dropped 85, 90% or 90% multiple times or over its journey from a fledgling little digital currency to the OG powerhouse that it is today. And so Texit Coin is not expecting to be any different from any of the other big coins out there that grew quickly and then contracted and then grew again on their path to the very top levels of the cryptocurrency industry. And so that's how you can help us. You can pick up a handful of coins on the open market, or you can join us and become a miner. It's a one-time fee. And we encourage you and everybody else to be extremely careful as you're messing around in cryptos. You got to think of cryptos more like gambling. It's highly speculative, it's highly volatile, it's not an investment. It's something that you should be very careful with before you part ways with your hard earned money. So if you're not comfortable taking that risk, please, we encourage you to slow down, do some more research, watch some more videos, talk to people that have been involved in our community for a while, see what they have to say, and then trust your gut and make a good decision with your hard earned money. But if you'd like to join us, like I said, I can commit to you that we'll build the mine, we'll reward our community for helping us grow, and we'll promote the coin. We've got billboards up all over the country. We've got, I don't even know how many wrapped cars out on the streets. We do events. We sponsor racetrack days to help bring in canned goods and toys for kids. So there's a lot of stuff that we're doing to reach out into the community and have a positive impact on them as well. This is all part of what I call phase one. Phase one is the very beginning. This is when we're putting together the mine. The mine is the backbone of trust, and we're building it exclusively here in Texas. After that, we get to move on to phase two and phase three and phase four. So there's a lot more coming. And like I mentioned earlier, it's still extremely early in the journey for us. We've sold about 22% of the seats on our rocket. We've bought about 30% of the equipment that we need to build the mine. And it's a process, and it's going very well. And it's been a lot of fun and a great and exciting time for me and my family, and hopefully for you and yours as well. So that's it for our special Christmas edition of Introduction to TEXITcoin. You'll probably be seeing a lot more of me on the Thursday night calls because, once again, we got to go back to basics. We got to make sure that our message, peace, and prosperity is communicated well with anyone and everyone that wants to learn about our story, from the guy that started it all January 26th, 2024, when I mined the first block in the spare bedroom of my house in McKinney, Texas. But for now, please get back to the dinner table with your families. Have a great night. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And I will look forward to connecting with you again. And we'll get our 2026 bright future started very, very soon. Thanks very much for tuning in, and have a great night, everyone. Merry Christmas.